misdemeanor site.
10-4-12. Welcome to Law and Order BUX. I'm your host, Bucks County Sheriff Fred Harran. Every corner of Bucks County has a story to tell. Sometimes a story of resilience. Sometimes a story that chills us to the bone. Sometimes a story of government not being able to get out of its own way. Here, the forces of law and order are constantly at work, often behind the scenes. Join us as we delve into the gripping realities of crime and justice in our community. We'll explore the hidden worlds, the difficult decisions, and the unwavering commitment it takes to maintain law and order right here in Bucks County. Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Law and Order BUX, BUX. I can't believe we've got 9 episodes and we've got, I don't even know, probably forever. We're going to keep going. Just very excited. The topics keep flowing in. And we're going to take this show on the road. I think maybe in the fall when kids are coming back to school, we'll try to get out there and grab some moms and dads, get into maybe some workforce areas. But I'm very excited about today's episode, bringing you from the Sheriff's Office. And one of my corporals, Todd Kessler, is here to talk to us today. And I told Todd, I said, we only do about 30 to 40 minutes on these things. Todd, I know for a fact, can talk about this topic for, I'm going to say hours, but probably days. So we're going to spend some time on one of the units that we started about 3 years ago called the S.C.O.P.E, the Sheriff's Community Outreach and Public Engagement. And some people think, what is he doing? Well, he's always out of his lane. He's always doing things that are outside the box. Maybe he shouldn't be worrying about these things. And you're going to hear how it directly relates to the Sheriff's Office and our mission. And Todd has been with the Sheriff's Office now for 13 years, Todd?
13 years, that's correct.
13 years. And also, Todd, I got to just thank you not only for your service here. Obviously, I really didn't know you before I got here. Like most of the men and women here, I didn't really know many of them. But you also did quite a service in our military, both Afghanistan and Iraq. And I know you saw a lot of action. I've seen some pictures that you brought back. It's just literally a miracle that you're here, especially the one picture with your Humvee being, driving through fire and, but you do some amazing work here. But not just you, you've got a team of 2 other deputies, Justin and Sal, Father Justin and Father Sal, as I like to call them, or Rabbi, maybe in my sake, it should be Rabbi Justin and Rabbi Sal. Maybe that's more appropriate for me being a Jewish kid from New York. But tell us a little bit about the S.C.O.P.E unit and what you guys do. And then we're going to talk some other specialties that you serve on, some other boards right here in the county. And another thing that you and Deputy Lang brought to me, and then we kind of turned it over to the other side because I felt that's where it belonged. But we'll talk about that a little later. But do me a favor. Let's take us into the S.C.O.P.E unit. Tell us about your mission, where your guys are every day, and what they mean to the people of Bucks County and the Sheriff's Office. So, Todd, give us a little bit of your history and background and how you got here.
So I've been here with the Sheriff's Office for 13 years. Prior to that, served in the Army for 7 years, 6 years active service, and then 1 year reserve. 2 tours overseas, as you mentioned, and then got me here to the Sheriff's Office shortly after that. For as far as the S.C.O.P.E unit goes, we have been actively on the street for 3 years, and our main mission is to connect with our community members and assist them with mental health, addiction services, and homelessness, and even some mentoring when we get a chance to. And we get to see mainly the mental health and the addiction services here in the courthouse on a daily basis. Every time we show up for work and we have a court list here, we're going to find something that's got either a mental health component to it or an addiction component to it. So it's something that we do daily here in the office, and we're going to continue to. I mean, sadly, it's that much of a problem where we get it daily, but we're doing what we can to try to help out.
Yeah, it's great. And when I first got here, I was like, well, why is the Bucks County Sheriff's Office, why would when you proposed scope to me, there was something before I got here, another program, we modified it, but I know the previous sheriff, Milt, got something started right before he left. And then we kind of tweaked it into a different version. And Milt did a great job with it. I got to give credit where credit's due. But we really, I think, in the words of Emerald Lagasse, we kicked it up a notch. You being a foodie, I guess that's a good analogy.
That is a good thing.
Because
I
you
like
are
it.
a foodie, but I can't eat the stuff you eat, the crazy stuff you have at your desk.
Yeah.
I'm just can't do it. But man, it sounds like you were going the wrong direction, on a big highway. That's not what we should be doing. But then when I learned, one of my, because I say it over and over again, one of the things I've preached since I got here and I ran on, and I believe in this day, and this will always be one of the mantras of the sheriff's office, is to keep local police on the street handling 911 calls. When you call in Bucks County, because we're a Commonwealth, when you call 911, you get local municipal police and they respond to your house. So one of the scenarios I talk about is the police getting a call for maybe unwanted subjects, or maybe a disorderly subject, or what we used to term as vagrants, although that's probably not a PC correct term anymore, but oh well. And they might have a warrant for their arrest. So the local police would run them. They come back for a warrant. That takes a cop off the street, tied up with dealing with a person who's really not causing a big problem, but they're wanted and the cops have to deal with it. But what does your team do, Todd, during the daytime and even working the nights if need be? What does your team do specific with that problem? Because I want to dissect a couple of things. You gave us a good overview, but I want to deep dive into it, your unit. But what do they do with that scenario?
So with that scenario, we will try to reach out to the police departments, or if they can reach out to us, we will go out and meet that individual face to face. And what we do is we try to build a relationship with them, build a rapport with them, see if there are any needs for any addiction services or any mental health services. And if so, we take over that case to where we are interacting with that individual personally, and it keeps the cops on the road doing what they do. So we always encourage the local law enforcement, if you have issues that are, continual, like say 911 calls or whatever it might be, and you maybe see a mental health or an addiction component to it, reach out to us, let us take that individual on. We will, meet them face to face. We'll sit down with them. We'll continue to follow up with them. Just keep that relationship going to where it becomes now a case that we handle, and the local law enforcement can keep doing what they're doing.
I mean, you and I, we believe that, people, as most of the police chiefs in Bucks County, but everybody's got different roles. People don't need to be, not everybody needs to be locked up.
True.
People, unfortunately, there is an insane amount of numbers of mental health, and the drug crisis continues. And I don't have the quote. I can't find it. I used to do it in a PowerPoint when I talked about co-responders, when we started co-responders in Ben Salem. But Benjamin Franklin, that's right, folks, Benjamin Franklin, one of our founding fathers, he identified back in the 1700s mental health in the Commonwealth. Of course, Ben probably spoke a little bit more eloquently than I do normally, but Ben identified it back then, and we can continue to face that problem here in mental health. And Todd, your group goes out and really, instead of these people being locked up and tallying cops up, they go out and try to get them into mental health treatment or drug treatment, which at the end of the day is a lot cheaper and more valuable than incarceration. Basically, our jails are full. We need them for hardened criminals, but not people that are suffering from drug addiction and mental health. Unless they're committing crimes, then it's a different ballgame.
Yeah.
But suffering from mental health and suffering from drug addiction does not make you a bad person or a criminal. So we got to make sure that they're not committing crimes, and that we can get them off the street into the proper treatment. And you got you and Sal and Justin doing these. The fact is, I could probably use 10 of you. There's that much work in Bucks County with the 640,000 people that we have in this county. So you guys are doing phenomenal work. And I know you were doing some stuff in the schools, right? Doing a lot, reaching out to kids at risk. And some people say, well, this isn't our job, but it is our job. I always look at anything to keep cops on the street and not engaging with more crime. If we could be a part of that, then that definitely is our job. And Todd, you gave me an amazing statistic last week. We double checked it because your numbers, I think, were off by 1 or 2 because you said it was like 0, and we found it was like 4. So the last couple of years, your guys had 300 or 400 contacts. I forget what.
It's probably closer to 400.
Closer to 400 contacts with people, and there were 4 that are known to us, folks, that have are recidivists. No, that's not a radio problem. That's just me getting in shock with that number that I just said. We're still on the air. 4 people that committed crimes again. This project, and that's what we know. Obviously, that's what we know. So this program is so successful. I couldn't imagine if we had 10 more men and women out there doing this, because there are so many people with problems. You're on the front line, not me. I'm here. I'm at the desk. You're out there. Tell me what that feels like to you, what that looks like when your guys are out there meeting with these people and getting the treatment, Todd.
I mean, it's amazing to see, because what we want to try to do is divert away from prison and from the criminal justice system if we can. Not everybody does need to go to jail. There are cases that obviously do, but if we can address the actual needs of that individual and keep them away from prison, and keeping them, into the treatment centers and stuff like that where they need to be, and it's just a win for everybody. But the problem is not going away. We're working together with co-responders, with all the different county resources that we have to try to reach these goals of keeping people out of jail and getting them into the treatment that they need. But it's an everyday struggle. It's not going anywhere. The big plus that we have on our side, compared to, say, local law enforcement, is we have time. And you've afforded us that time. You've given us the opportunity to go out and do these things on a daily basis. A lot of patrol officers don't have the opportunity to sit with a call for a couple hours at a time. They have calls backed up. They have to go to the next one, and they kind of have to move things along quickly. To whereas we can sit and spend time with a person. We can sit for an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it might be. We'll do that. I mean, I've had cases here in the courthouse where someone is going through a bit of a mental health crisis, and I can sit with them for 4 hours.
Right.
And it becomes that's the time needed to safely and effectively handle everything. And that's what we're allowed to do. And that's what you give us is our time. So.
Yeah. And some people might be like, well, Sheriff, you keep talking about, serving all these warrants that are out there. And by the way, we're down to 4,600 warrants, clearing them up. But this time does prevent people from creating more warrants and just backlogging the system, where our warrant squad has to go out, deal with them, or the patrol officers throughout the county. Mm-hmm. And you take places like Morrisville or Yardley or Bristol Borough or up north in smaller towns and boroughs, they might only have 2 or 3 cops on the street. Now they're tied up, 2 cops dealing with a warrant and watching this person and transporting him to the prison, at 3 o'clock in the morning. That means there's nobody on the street handling 911 calls. And that just is not acceptable to me. So the 3 and 4 hours sometimes that you guys put in on jobs is money well spent. But who are some of the people calling you for help with prisoners? Some of the, judges in the county, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
They're dealing with people in their courtroom that are suffering from mental health. It's like, who are you going to call? Ghostbusters. They're who they're going to call, the S.C.O.P.E unit. Yeah. And they call you, and then, so what does that look like?
That's always an interesting call. I've had a couple cases here in the courthouse where a judge has called down to me directly at my desk and has asked me to come up to their courtroom because there was somebody that has a mental health component to what's going on. And I'm able to just sit with them and sit through the case with them. I had one individual that was unrepresented and she was by herself, and the judge just wanted me to sit and just say and hang out. And so I did, and we just talked, and we I was able to kind of de-escalate the situation as it was getting, kind of worked up. But again, that's because we have the time to do it. If we didn't have the time to do it, we wouldn't be able to accomplish some of the things that we do. But
and your guys are dressed in soft clothes, and folks, what that means is soft clothes are like T-shirts, or Todd's wearing a polo shirt today and maybe BDU pants or jeans. I really let them dress down when they're not in the courthouse doing courthouse functions or out doing other deputy functions that they have to look more official, to dress down, because that really puts especially people suffering from mental health issues or drug addiction, because they see uniforms, they think they're going to jail. They don't understand, because people can't comprehend that. Not that they can't comprehend, that was probably a poor choice of a phrase, but their mind just doesn't function like that. They see a uniform and they think it's going to be a problem for them. So we do take that stigma away, and you guys do dress down. and going out dealing with these folks because, like you said, the problem's not going away. Todd, tell us. We have also in Bucks County, and it was Judge Boylan that run right
The treatment courts.
treatment court.
Yeah.
Ray Boylan is just an amazing human being, and all our judges. I mean, I've said this before. Our judges are great here in Bucks County. But tell us a little bit about that treatment court, what that does, and maybe a lot of people don't know about Veterans Court here and stuff. So I know, Todd, you sit on those groups and you're very involved. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I sit on the teams for all three of our treatment courts, and that's Wellness Court, Recovery Court, and Veterans Court. So it's an opportunity for people that are, Wellness Court dealing with mental health issues, Recovery Court dealing with addiction issues, and then Veterans Court dealing with both of them, but as a military veteran. But it's a chance for them to come into a program to address their charges, but also try to get some real rehabilitative services along the way. And if they can complete a bunch of different standards or parts of the program that we have for them, they can get either lesser charges or maybe even charges dropped, hopefully, depending on what they are and how severe they are. But they're all three great programs for the county, and Judge Boylan does a phenomenal job running those treatment courts. And yeah, it's another opportunity to kind of address the needs that are there rather than just lock up and forget about them.
Yeah, there's not one cookie cutter answer to the criminal justice system. It is a melting pot of issues. We talk about different melting pots. It's the courthouse is an Ellis Island of issues. People come in here, family issues, mental health issues, drug issues, PTSD issues, and it can't be dealt with. It has to be dealt with, not with a sledgehammer, but with a sculpting, hammer, something very tiny, as everybody's different. And I know your folks do that, and they're also pretty heavily trained. And, one of the big things that when I came here, I have a hard time getting, in Ben Salem, I was spoiled. We had a very good, robust training budget here. It's tough, training. I just don't get a lot of money in our budget for training. And, I try every year and, we'll see what happens. But, they just don't invest a lot of money in this county for training. But we do what we can. We get a lot of free training, a lot of local training. You've been very successful getting to go out to conferences paid for by the people bringing you out there. So not only do you get to present on what we're doing here in Bucks County, but you get to listen to other people too. So we find out clever ways of getting training for free. That's excellent training. With that, let's go into another subject that we just started here in the county maybe a year or two ago. I remember you telling me we brought some folks in from Montgomery County.
Yes.
You and Deputy Lang are the first officers in Bucks County to receive the Veterans Response Team training. Tell us a little bit about VRT.
So VRT, or Veterans Response Team, is a chance for patrol officers, sheriffs, first responders in their county to, most of them are military veterans as well. We've opened our class up in Bucks to non-military veterans, but it's a chance for military veterans that are also trained in crisis intervention training to respond to calls involving veterans in crisis. And a lot of times you'll see that having a veteran respond to a veteran in crisis goes a long way because you kind of have that connection right off the bat. So it was a good idea, a good plan. Montgomery County did a great job with their class. And as soon as we got done the class, we knew we had to bring it here. We had to come back and bring it to Bucks County. So Deputy Lang and myself pitched it to the sheriff, and we brought in the training team from Montgomery County and sat down and just explained exactly what it was. And it was a hit right off the bat, and we knew we had to run with it. So now here we are in Bucks County building our own Veterans Response Team of officers from all over the county. Yeah,
it's great. And, one of the things, and I hate giving stuff away, but when you brought it here, I knew it was bigger than us. That this really needed to be in with the county, with the other side of the street, as we say. And so I spoke to Rachel Neff. She's the director of Health and Human Services here. And I know that they gave it to Matt Allen, who's the director of Veterans Affairs. And he's been running the program now.
Yes.
And Matt does a great job with it. Rachel, I mean, she's phenomenal. with all her departments there. But it didn't belong in the sheriff's office, and I am glad that we were the first ones trained in it. I'm glad we have more deputies trained in it. But we gave it to the other side to run with it. But I'm glad that we were the ones to bring it to Bucks County, and that you had the vision to bring it here. And you know me, I think you figured it out by now. I like trying new stuff, and there's no such thing as a stupid idea. And I'm just so glad that it's here in Bucks County. And that's one thing I kind of regretted in life. I mean, my life took me from high school to college to Benson Police, to the Bucks County Sheriff's Office. But I always wanted to serve in the military. It's just not a path to cross for me. But I have the utmost respect for all veterans. My nephew is here. He's being transferred to Germany, to Ramstein Air Force Base. So he's here until I think Friday, and then he reports Monday to Ramstein, being transferred from, I think he's in Okinawa. Well, he's here in the States. He's at Okinawa. But, the men and women that serve in our military, they should never go without for anything.
I agree.
And those that are in combat, I don't know what to say. I know we've got a lot of deputies here that served in military. I don't even want to name one or two because I'd be missing so many.
Yeah.
So it's easier not to say anybody, but I certainly appreciate all our deputies that have served in the U.S. Armed Forces, whatever branch it may be. I don't think we have anybody from the Space Force.
No, not yet. Not yet. Give it time.
Not yet. Maybe eventually we'll have somebody from the Space Force. But Todd, this S.C.O.P.E unit, where's Justin and Sal today?
They're on the street.
On the street.
They're on the street.
Dealing with people, getting connections, getting these people's warrants taken care of, because that's one of our major functions here, but also putting people in connection with mental health and with drug addiction, help. And that is key.
And one thing, if you wanted to talk about it, we could run with, and we did it a couple of years ago, was a kind of an initiative we took with warrants, taking care of warrants with some of our homeless
that's a big one.
members.
Talk about that. I left that out.
So we had come across a camp in the lower end of the county, and 3 individuals there.
A homeless camp.
Living in the homeless camp. 3 individuals there had warrants. So after speaking with all 3 of them, Justin and Sal and myself, all 3 of us were out there. I came back to the courthouse and sat down with the DA's office and the public defender's office on how we can address the warrants for these 3. They were continually getting warrants for failure to appear.
They got no address.
They're homeless. Yeah, they have no address and they have no way of getting up here.
Jeez, imagine that.
Try to think outside the box of how we can help these individuals and take care of these warrants, and so they can stop getting the warrants. We came up with a way to do everything via video. So we met with one of our local judges, Judge McGuffin, and he loved the idea and he wanted to be a part of it. And so along with him and then the probation office as well helped us out, where we could, me, Justin, and Sal, the 3 of us, went to the homeless camp, picked these individuals up, took them to the Levittown office for probation, adult probation, sat down in their office, got all 3 of them on video with Judge McGuffin. He handled all 3 of their cases at the same time. They all got probationary sentences. Probation was on scene so that we could then have them signed up for probation right afterwards, and everything was handled, warrants done, case done, and we moved on from there. So,
oh boy, imagine that, government working together, and it makes sense because you're getting these warrants cleared up, and local police don't have to deal with it, taking police off the street. And that's really what I've been talking about all along. That's just phenomenal. And Judge McGuffin just does a great job. I mean, I sit on the prison oversight board with him. I mean, just an open-minded, smart, outside the box guy. So, I like when folks do that. Where do you see next for S.C.O.P.E? Maybe something you haven't told me yet. What's your next thoughts here? Anything?
I mean, I think the possibilities are endless because the whole component about just connecting with the community and seeing what their needs are, and trying to help them out any way we can, and also at the same time trying to build back the trust in law enforcement in the community. I mean, I think that's a big one too, and I think we're doing that best by just simply communicating. I think that goes a long way. So we really don't know where it's going to go, but we're excited to see where it's going to go, and the possibilities are endless.
And a lot of people, agencies are inquiring on what we're doing here.
That's correct. We've had let's see, we're booked now for 4 conferences that we've presented at in Pennsylvania. I've presented in years past at the National Sheriff's Association convention.
But yeah, I remember, I think it was my first year.
Yeah,
The second year or whatever. Yeah, I remember seeing you down here.
yeah.
Yep.
The first one in Kansas City, and then the second one was in DC. So hoping to get back on that circuit as well. If we can do more national conferences, we will. But more and more people within the state of Pennsylvania are reaching out and want us to one, present at their conferences, but there's also departments across the state that are reaching out to present our program to them specifically. So
That's phenomenal. So I know you guys are out, working with the co-responders too. And, I remember back in Bensalem, we started co-responders. We came up with the idea. Actually, took a version from Albuquerque, New Mexico, of all places, because I was searching and searching on the internet. That's how a lot of good ideas I found. But we got it here, and thanks to Commissioner Marseglia and many other people, Rachel Neff, the co-responders were born, with the first one in Bensalem. And I think they're in like 20 some odd, 24 departments now, something like that. And it's something that the chiefs now want. But some people will say, well, we already have co-responders. Why are the deputies doing this? Well, there's a big difference. Co-responders really shouldn't be going into homeless encampments in the woods for wanted people. And a lot of the folks that you're dealing with are, you never know. So, you're trained law enforcement, you have the equipment to deal with something if it goes wrong. So it's not in lieu of, but it is in partnership with. And I think that's that's what everybody should keep in mind, that you guys work with all kinds of agencies out there. And the co-responders are another one. And how has your relationship been with the co-responders?
it's been fantastic. We reach out to them for referrals and cases. We give them information on different cases, and we ask for help from them because we know that's what they're trained to do too. So I think the relationship has been great with the co-responders and many other county resources. The main idea, behind what we do is that, there's 3 of us. There's, a handful of co-responders throughout the county. Mental health resources in the county are shorthanded as well. Everybody being shorthanded, if we all collaborate and work together, you just now build a bigger team of all to have the same goals in mind. And I think that just makes for better relationships and a bigger force, and more people trying to accomplish the same thing. So everything's been great so far, and we hope to keep it that way.
Yeah. We all, so many agencies, it's like an alphabet soup here. We always make fun of the federal government, DEA, FBI, Homeland Security, Immigration's Customs Enforcement, U.S. Marshals, alphabet soup, we call it. But the same thing here in the county. We've got a million agencies, and the key is to work together. And when we got people like Rachel Neff, we got people like Diane Rosati from Drug and Alcohol, they get it. They understand the importance of working together. So Todd, you guys are doing a fantastic job. I'm going to let you get in the last word on this issue. Any closing thoughts on S.C.O.P.E and dealing with mental health and drug and alcohol and the great work you're doing at the Bucks County Sheriff's Office? Todd, I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah, we just hope to keep doing what we're doing. We want to expand if we can. I mean, obviously, we know manpower and what we can afford as far as adding people on would be great. But we're not going to stop. We have a mission in mind. We have a goal in mind, and whatever roadblocks are thrown our way, we'll find our way to get the job done. And that's what it's all about.
No doubt.
That's what it's all about. So we'll keep doing it.
Todd, I appreciate you coming on. I know
you
got an incredibly busy day. You juggle many things here. So appreciate your time today. And I hope our audience, I think they learned something today. Another initiative that, another group in the Sheriff's Office going out there dealing with mental health, homelessness, drug use and alcohol, and many, many other things that you guys do. But Todd, thank you for our time. I won't keep you much longer. Appreciate it very much. Thanks, Todd.
Appreciate it.
Todd Kessler, Corporal with the Bucks County Sheriff's Office, U.S. Army war veteran, highly decorated. So Todd, thank you for your service there. Thank you for your service here. Well, that wraps up episode 9, and we've got episode 10 coming up in a couple weeks. I'll give you a little teaser on that. it's going to be the women in law enforcement. So stay tuned for that episode. So where were we? I just boarded the plane to Vegas to meet my birth mother and my sister, my biological sister. So we get on a plane, smooth ride, no problems. Land in Las Vegas, and it's a Friday. We just went for a long weekend. It's a Friday. We just landed in Las Vegas. It's at nighttime, and go to grab some dinner at our hotel and just chill out. Next morning, we get up and we're going to her house. So Uber comes to pick us up at the hotel, my wife and I. And I, of course, now I flew in. So I have some stuff for my niece and my nephew. I have some other little tchotchkes I brought. We, not to be sappy, but we brought them Rocky shirts on the Philadelphia Art Museum steps. You know, you can't bring Eagles and Philly stuff to people that live in Nevada. I'm sure they're not Eagles fans or Phillies fans. So even though the Eagles won the Super Bowl, we're like, let's not. So we got to bring something Philadelphia. So we brought, what's more Philadelphia than, a cheesesteak would not have lasted on the flight. So we decided to get Rocky shirts on the Philadelphia Art Museum steps, and they loved it. But so we get off. So we're getting the Uber, and I'm like, okay, this isn't enough. So the Uber driver was phenomenal. I said, I need to stop for flowers. And I tried to order ahead of time. The florist just said, just stop. So we found a florist right by their house. Now it's Uber. So I'm like, if I'm 10, 15 minutes, they're going to kill me. They're going to charge me crazy just for that kind of stop. Told the Uber driver the story. He's like, we could stop however long you want. The guy was phenomenal. So we did. We stopped at a florist, got beautiful floral arrangements for my sister and for my mom. And we pull up in front of their house and knock on the door, greeted by my sister, and then greeted by my mother. I have never seen a picture of her. And boom, that was that. And my wife, we spent, I guess, the next 5 hours. My sister put a spread out like you can't believe. We had lunch there. We were there for probably about 5 hours. Just talking. You can imagine I had a million questions. What happened? Where's my father? Who's my father? My father was not on the birth certificate, or nothing I could follow up on. And how did you find my adoptive parents? We're talking now 1964, folks. Things were a little different. But my mother is a character. And my wife said, oh my God, I thought these type of traits were learned and not genetic. And they are definitely genetic, because my mother, my mother just says what's on her mind and just comes off, and she's like, I don't need to watch what I say. I'm, 80 years old. But according to my sister, she's done that her whole life. And it was just, I don't know how, I don't think I can describe the meeting. My sister was amazing. Just, my mother lives with her. So 80 with some medical stuff going on, but just great people. And then my niece and my nephew, two amazing kids, 23 and 18 or 19, my nephew. And just a great family in Vegas. I don't know. I guess people are waiting for more from me right now. It's hard to wrap my head around the whole situation. But I think I'm going to tell you the next episode of the connection between my birth mother and my parents, how they knew each other, that no one knew this connection until that day in Las Vegas having lunch. And we started trying to figure out, how did I get to my parents, my adoptive parents, and why I was given up. But I look like my mother. We have the same eyes. I think I'll try to share a picture of the two of us together, and we have the exact same expression. Our eyes are going the same way. It's crazy. I'm gonna make sure they're okay with me sharing this stuff. But I think I told you last episode that Frederick Allen Harran was not my birth name. My birth name was, I got to look again to make sure I don't mess it up, David Stewart Cohen. I was called David Stewart Cohen for 5 days. I was born on April 4th, oh my God, April 4th, at something I never knew, at 7:32 in the morning. And most of you are probably not going to be surprised at this, but my mother said it was tough getting me out. I was stubborn coming out. And my wife thought that was hysterical. 7:32 in the morning on April 4th, 1964. And I was David Stewart Cohen for 5 days until April 9th, 1964, when my adoptive parents came and picked me up from the hospital. My mother told me they let her see me, not my parents, but the hospital let her see me once on the 4th of April. And even though I was in the hospital with her for 5 days, that's what it was back then, they would not let her see me again. I guess the paperwork was signed, and that was that. But my birth certificate that I've always used for my whole life says Frederick Allen Harran, April 4th, 1964. But really, I guess I was David Stewart Cohen for 5 days, unbeknownst to me. And my mother gave me a kiss on my head on April 4th, I guess sometime in that morning or maybe a little later in that afternoon. And that was the last time she saw me until 3 weeks ago. That was it. We spent a lot of time. I'll talk to you more about their, her story, a little bit about, and then how my parents and her, how they were brought together by a name that I had heard my entire childhood and never knew anything about that person. And, you're sitting there and you're listening, and you got 61 years of reflection. And I know there's probably a lot of people out there the same as me, but we did try to get upgraded to first class. We told them the story, but it was filled. So I told my wife, I said, if I tell them the story, maybe we'll get upgraded. Nah, American wasn't too. In all fairness to American Airlines, first class was full, but I thought maybe we told the story, but that didn't happen. But crazy story, but more to come next episode about how my birth mother met she never met them, but how they were put together and how she wound up in Lake George, New York for 6 months while pregnant. Folks, I'm hesitating because, I say the story and it's crazy to my mind. But this was July 4th weekend, and my sister came to New York for the July 4th weekend to visit a friend of hers. And then we met with her. She came July 5th and spent the day with us, and got to meet my daughter and my wife, so my two stepdaughters. We were all together for the holidays this weekend, which was great. A lot of barbecuing, a lot of hanging out, a lot of that sort of stuff. We don't get that with all the kids and their spouses. This was an unusual weekend, and then my sister came and joined us Saturday all day, and we'll talk about that. But my sister and my wife have the same name and the same middle name. So all weekend long, it was like when I say Lisa, they're both answering. So I have a nickname for my wife, so I call her that all the time. Our family calls her that anyway as well. So I just refer to her as what I normally call her. More to come. Stay tuned for episode 10 of Law and Order BUX, the women of law enforcement, coming at you next week. Until then, everyone, God bless you and God bless this great nation of ours. And happy belated 4th of July. Thank you for joining us as we explore another aspect of law enforcement in Bucks County. To stay up to date on future episodes and gain further insight into the work we do, be sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review wherever you get your podcasts. For more information about the Bucks County Sheriff's Office and the services we provide, please visit our website and be sure to download the official Bucks County Sheriff's Office app, available on Google Play and in the App Store. Join us next time for another in-depth look at law and order right here in Bucks County.